Hi, guys. Welcome to the bar exam. I'm your host, Allie Rayner, and I'm here with my amazing co host, as always, Mr. Eric G and Marcus TV. Say hey, guys.
What happened to
Yo,
the rest? You just left off Mr. Marcus. You said Marcus TV. What happened?
Oh, my bad.
wasn't a proper introduction.
Yeah, I'm
My
sorry.
bad.
It's
Not
Yeah.
Mr. Marcus TV. My
It's
bad.
cool. We good. We good.
Sorry, Mr. Marcus TV. My bad. But anyway, guys, so today, coming before the bar, we decided we wanted to basically take it back, throw it back to age old classics, basically songs that really defied the moment in our lives where we heard this song and maybe we were growing up and it really resonated with us, or maybe it was memorable because of the place that we were at that time. But either way, we wanted to highlight a very important song to us. So we decided to pick Kanye West's Touch the Sky. And now I'm sure you guys are probably wondering, like, why the hell did we pick this, right? Anybody? Marcus, Eric?
You
You
tell
guys
me. No, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah.
um,
That's your pick.
Yeah, so I guess this is kind of like one of my picks. I have some honorable mentions, but this song I think really resonated with me because this came out like early 2000s. Kanye had like dropped around like 2004, 2007. And so this song was such a big deal, I think, because it was kind of like, it wasn't like the very first song for him, but it was like one of those songs that like really popped for him. People kind of knew who he was at that point, but he really took off. And I think he just had a lot more credibility at that point, and people like really wanted to hear more from him and just support him. And so I remember like my brother, I think that we all kind of get like influenced by our siblings growing up, right? Especially like if you had an older sibling who were listening to different type of music than you. So my brother actually introduced me to Kanye West. He's older than me only by like a year and a half, but it made a big deal to me because I didn't know anything about, Kanye, Pink Polo. I didn't know anything about like late registration and all that until he introduced me to Kanye West. And I understood. At first, I didn't understand. I just saw like photos of him in the pink shirt and the polos, and I didn't really get it until I heard his music. And then I kind of understood it more. And my brother used to like break down to me how he was like an amazing lyricist and stuff. And those are one of those things that just really stuck with me. But besides that, I think that we can all agree that this is a really good song. I mean, it's one of those songs that's like uplifting, it's fun. His lyrics, are definitely I think that they show like where he's come from. So it's easy for us to see Kanye now as the billionaire, as he calls himself the musical genius, right? But like in the lyrics, he's speaking about shit that he had to go through before he ever even popped and how hard it was for him to pop. So, for example, one of my favorite lines is when he says, back when they thought pink polos would hurt the rock, before Cam got that shit to pop, the doors was closed. I felt like bad boys street team. I couldn't work the locks. Now let's go take him back to the plan. Me and my mama hopped in that U-Haul van. Any pessimists, I ain't talked to them. Plus, I ain't had no phone in my apartment. Like things like that. I mean, he then even talks about standing outside the club for an hour and just wanting to shine and shit. And he said that Jay's favorite line, dog in due time. Like, that's real shit. And I think a lot of artists, even artists that are popular now, they talk about times when it was really fucking hard for them to get through and get into the industry. And they had to stand in lines outside and beg their favorite rapper to listen to them spit. So I don't know. I just felt like this is one of those songs that like really defined like the early 2000s for me. But what do you guys think?
Man, this is one of those songs for me that like I just remember. I kind of remember where I was at when I first heard it.
Right?
Like you know what I mean. It's one of those where you remember like just being either in the car and hearing that for the first time, and then looking at your friend and being like, "Yo, what is this?"
You're right. Yeah,
And
like who the hell is Kanye West?
right, or not even that, but like just to like hear the difference between what was out and what he was doing.
Yeah.
You know what I
It
mean?
was a
Like
huge
the
difference.
music that he was putting out at that point, it was so different than what everybody else was dropping. So for me, it was just one of those things that made it easy for Kanye to shoot right up to the top and made it easy for me to really like resonate with what he was talking about. Cause just like you talked about, he's talking about getting the shine. He's talking about trying to get the pink polo to pop. Like in the
Mhm.
second verse, he talks about back when Gucci was the shit to rock, back when Slick Rick got the shit to pop. Like he's going through the airs, but then at the same time, he's like giving you that uplifting feeling throughout the entire song. And it was one of the things that like made me fall in love with Kanye West. It was one of the reasons why he became one of like those influential artists to me that made me want to succeed and made me want to do better. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it was shit like this. It was easily shit like this. Like I remember the first time I heard this is getting it's not getting off topic because it's still on the same lane. I remember the first time I heard Kanye West Family Business.
Mm.
I cried to that shit just because of all the family shit that he was talking about that he had been through in that. And it just really like if you had been through anything remotely similar to that, it touched a nerve. So for me, like just looking at songs like that, looking at songs like Touch the Sky where he's giving you the flip side of it, where he's telling you the uplifting side and empowering you. To me, that type of music is timeless. That is the type of music that you're gonna show your kids and you're gonna remember. Like this is the song that I want to listen to when I needed to get through something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this song definitely is one of those songs that you look back and you're going to be like when people used to say like we miss the old Kanye, like this is the Kanye you're going to introduce your kids to and be like this is the Kanye that used to be that I feel like he does still talk about real shit, in his lyrics, but it's totally different when people are talking about like being billionaires and millionaires, it's so different. You're a little bit still like separated and distanced from the regular audience or the people who actually consume your music. But this version of Kanye was still super close to, being the consumer, being somebody who wanted to be on, wanted to be famous, wanted to be known. And he was still really, really talented, and like the lyrics were still there. And I gotta give a shout out to like how Eric was saying, like the music, even in the background, like the big sound, those trumpets, like it was so different from what we were listening to. 1,000%. I think we were. I'm pretty sure weren't we like really into like southern rap? I'm pretty sure. I think that's when trap
Yeah.
started getting pretty lit. Ti was on then, so it was a big difference. You still love this, all that shit from the south and all the trap, obviously, but you also fell in love with Kanye. And I think I became more aware of people's lyrics listening to Kanye and being like, damn, I kind of want to listen to people who aren't just flaunting their jewels or shit like that, but I also want to listen to people who are uplifting. Um, Marcus, what did you think about this song?
I mean, it was kind of the same because when he came in like this, Kanye was something different. And, we've always said on this show, how does an artist's music age? How does it transcend into now versus what it was then? And when you heard Kanye early on, he was I don't even want to put him in the lane as a backpack rapper or conscious. He was just something different. And you didn't really know how to approach it and how to take Kanye because you was like, well, who is this nigga? Like, what is he? You didn't know, but now we said we want the old Kanye because that was the most relatable Kanye,
Right.
not the
It's
billionaire
most
Kanye.
thoughtful.
Everybody was going through. You just said with family shit. You going through this renaissance man of what Kanye was, and I dare say, artist wise, Kanye might be on GOAT status in the category of music that is timeless. And I mean his entire catalog is timeless. So if you're gonna say a timeless artist who from introduction to the game to current now, the whole discography, the entire thing, Kanye's music might be as relevant today as it was as anyone you could put up against it. Anyone,
Yeah,
anyone. You know, I
I
won't
think that you're right.
because I just left the comedy show from Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock, and he had a little bit in there, and he talked about everybody's like cancel culture, this, that, and the third, and what it is not cancel culture; it's selective outrage. So
Mm,
just assume that Kanye goes through anything that would cancel an artist. Kanye, we have the debate on whether to play R. Kelly right now, but R.
right,
Kelly still gets played.
Right.
right.
I don't think Kanye can go through anything of scandal substance and he'd be like, you know what, I'm not listening to Kanye anymore because of just how timeless and relatable his music is. I think that's a true testament to Kanye, his bars, and just how good he was at an early age.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I think it's also notable to mention that he also had Lupe Fiasco on this song as well. Like I think it was the remix or maybe even the original, but which I think was dope because at the time, like Lupe was a conscious kind of rapper. You know, he was somebody who wasn't just rapping to rap, he was like actually saying something and thinking and thinking outside the box. So for them to be together on this song, I thought was perfect. And sometimes I even wish that there were more collabs like that in Kanye's life, where he had someone who's a little bit more conscious. There's collabs with him and like Common, Jay-Z, things like that. And so I love seeing like when he does that type of art in a way, and so we'll see if we can get some more out of Kanye. I'm sure he's not going to just stay being an entrepreneur billionaire. I'm sure he's going to continue to make music here and there.
Side note, it's excuse me, damn. See, that's how Jesus know I'm finna say something ignorant. Is Kanye billionaire? I'm,
I don't know,
I'm
dog.
I know
I
he
don't know.
was.
If I swear, like it seems like he makes one terrible comment and it's all gone, and then like 6 months later he's back on Forbes, and then he makes another
Yeah,
tweet where he tweets again, and then they're like, "Oh no, he lost all his companies." So honestly, I don't know, but either way, I think he's doing fine. I think that
yeah. I
he's
mean,
still going to continue to do fashion. Going to do whatever else that thrives him or moves him forward artistically. But I'm hoping that we hear some music from him as well, and not just seeing fashion and stuff like that from him, because I think Kanye is one of those people who have a lot of layers, and so hopefully, like we were saying, he can come back and just like talk about what he's been going through. He's gone through so much in the last few years, the divorce, being a dad. So we'll see what he has to say, you know.
I
But
feel like it
anyway,
needs to be a coming to America skit so they can just,
hasn't
Right.
everyone done that though?
That's why I ain't been right since his mama died. That's really the line in the sand for Kanye. His like I don't even want to say downhill, but that's when you see the shift in Kanye. It was literally when
Yeah,
his mother passed. And
yeah,
it's
that's
played out in front of our eyes for what, 10 years now?
right. That's my thing. Is
More
like
than
I
that,
just, I
it
just
feels
hope
like.
that there is like a happy ending for it all. Because I think we thought it was going to be, his relationship and all that kind of stuff. But who knows? Who knows when he's going to tell his truth again. I'm sure his Twitter account and all his Twitter fans are just waiting to see what he says next. But speaking of swearing to tell the whole truth, we also have a little segment here where we decide to spill the beans, we tell the truth about different songs, like their meanings, maybe break down lyrics, or maybe our understanding of them back in the day, or even more recently, who knows. So we are going to start it off, or actually, I can start it off for you guys. So the song that I love doing, or I love listening to, and that this song really spoke to me growing up, was Lupe Fiasco's Superstar. So the reason I picked it was because I think it was one of those songs that really made me think, and it was like not necessarily high energy, but it was like creative. It was very creative. I thought it was witty. And I think that when I first heard it, I just kept thinking like it was about Lupe Fiasco saying that he's so happy to be a superstar, or like, he basically is a superstar, flaunting it. But when you really go through the lyrics, and that I'm glad that I did, when you really break down the lyrics, you realize that he's really talking about all the trials and tribulations of being a superstar, of being a hip hop star. And what, I think it's kind of fun because he also, in some ways, flips it from not him just being a superstar, but also like the perspective of his fans waiting on him in line, or waiting for the next superstar to come in line. And I don't know. I just think that this is one of those songs that made me really sit back and be like, damn, people can really rap and be conscious, and it doesn't have to be like, I don't know, like, how it was like, shake that ass and throw that this, and how it was back then. I feel like all I could think of back in like the 99s was like Cash Money taking over for the 99s and 2000s, but like Lupe came out and Kanye came out and made you think, and made you like actually want to become like a lyricist and like think about what you were saying. So I'm trying to see what are one of my favorite lines from this. Okay, so I like this one. So this is like one of his first verses. So he goes, "Yeah, a fresh, cool young Lou trying to cash his microphone check 212. Want to believe my own hype, but it's too untrue. The world brought me to my knees. What have you brung you? Did you improve on the design? Did you do something new? Well, your name ain't on the guest list. Who brung you? You, the more famous person, you come through, and the sexy lady next to you, you come too. And then it hit me, standing outside of heaven, waiting for God to come and get me. I'm too uncouth, unschooled to the rules, and too gumshoe, too much of a newcomer, and too uncool." Like, so I love that he's talking about, not just like trying to figure out being someone different, bringing something new to the game, but also having to deal with like your own insecurities, and realizing like you kind of have that imposter, effect. But I don't know if you guys also got that meaning from this song. What did you guys think about
I'm
it?
gonna be honest. I wasn't a Lupe fan because I
Yeah.
hated them fucking glasses. So didn't matter what Lupe was speaking about. Didn't matter what he was rapping about. What he was talking about. When Lupe came on, I was like, "Ah, fuck that nigga." I didn't.
That's surprising from the one person wearing glasses on our show right now.
I'm
So
saying.
Was he just too uncool? Just
no.
too
So
uncouth?
well, if you wanted me to violate, since we on this podcast, and I'll violate my own HIPAA. At the time, I was not wearing glasses, and I didn't. I had 20/20 vision. This was because of later in life, because I was not a Lupe fan. That ha ha. Yeah, you
Look
see,
at you now,
yeah,
eating your word. No, okay.
yeah, having to deal with that.
And
But
it
at
said,
the
ha
time,
ha.
yeah,
Right, like you
well,
showed him.
like a young Dirk moment. Ah,
Anything, the joke is on you, my friend. No.
yeah. So because I wasn't a fan of his then, he made me a fan now. It's like we actually had some stylish frames, metal, Cartier-esque, but yeah, I
But what
didn't.
did you? But so maybe at the time you weren't a fan of his. But can you like look back and be like, this actually isn't a bad song? Like, what do you
Oh
think
yeah,
about the
dude.
song?
So he's another one of those times. Like, so a lot of times, I'll go back and get on someone like who had been around, and Lupe was one of those. Like, wow, I'm glad. This is gonna sound so horrible. I'm glad the nigga didn't die, because so many times I research and you get on people when they die, and then you just be like, damn, there ain't no more boys from this dude. He was actually dope. And so when I discovered Lupe, I was happy that he wasn't dead.
You're right. That did sound terrible.
Like, this sounds terrible, but I'm just
That's the
when I
quote of the show.
yeah when I was
That's the
when I
quote
was
of the show
finally
right
a Lupe
there.
fan, I
That's the
was
title.
yeah, I'm like, I'm glad he wasn't dead. Like, I'm because you like, so I was not a Nipsey Hussle fan, but I was
What?
aware of
Damn.
Nipsey Hussle. But then when after he passed, and then I go back and I'm talking about from day one, I'm like, oh my god! And then the same thing happened with King Von. Then the same thing had who was it after that? Somebody else died too.
Hmm.
But
Mine is the opposite. I'll become a fan of the artist and then like 3 to 4 months later, something crazy will happen to him.
Yeah, that's how
And
I
I
felt
was
about
like,
Nipsey.
man, like I just got put on to this dude.
Yeah.
And now he's already gone. Like, what the fuck?
Exactly. So I think that you're right though, Marcus. I'm glad that Lupe is alive and well. Honestly, I wish that he would put more music out, but I think we're in
Isn't he a
this like
college
age
professor
where,
now?
huh?
Isn't he teaching rap like in college?
Lupe
Like,
does a lot of shit
he's
now.
a college professor teaching rap.
Yeah,
And
I was
want
gonna
to
say,
say
but I
like
don't think that he puts out like actively. I don't think he like tries to be an artist. I think it's cool that he's still giving back and he's teaching people. I knew that he was out here, touring. Like I think he was touring with like the military for a while, like doing private shows for them for like our troops overseas and stuff. Because I knew a few of my family members were overseas and they told me about going to concerts where he would pop up, at their, like at their barracks. And we're talking about like they're in the middle of like the Middle East, in the middle of nowhere, and so I thought that was pretty cool. But I had no clue that he was out here giving back still. So I think it's dope. I think that is a great thing. I think more of our old school rappers should be doing that. Should be teaching the new generation of rappers for real, for real. But that's just my opinion.
Too Short teaching a women's empowerment etiquette class.
Who?
Too Short.
Too short.
Too short.
Too Short.
The man who says, "What's my favorite word, bitch?"
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Oh my god!
He could,
and it makes sense.
He could empower the masses.
What?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Makes
I mean,
sense.
I was thinking like Cardi B running a women's
No,
empowerment.
you said
Megan Thee Stallion,
an artist
talking about
who
sitting on
had their
dudes'
time.
faces and shit.
An artist who had their time, who goes into teaching, and is in the second stage of their second chapter of their career. Too Short teaching a women's empowerment class.
That's why I think it's great because he's like old. He's like way older now. He's reformed and whatnot. Like,
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. I can only imagine what he would think, and then he's probably got like kids, grandkids.
Yeah.
So let's see. I would really like to hear what Too Short would actually
put it like
be
this. It's a whole sea of nothing but Oprah fans. You got Michelle Obama introducing Too Short to speak to all of them.
I don't know. I think it would be what was that concert where Tyler the Creator was supposed to show up and instead Frank Ocean or something. Kid Cudi showed up. It was supposed to be Frank Ocean, and Kid Cudi showed up, and they booed him the fuck off the stage and threw water bottles at his head. I think that's what would happen to Too Short.
That wasn't his fault, though. That wasn't his fault. That was false advertisement. They shouldn't have advertised him and then brought out Drake.
I totally agree. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it was totally like, false advertisement. Like, what were they thinking?
It was like a very weird situation. But anyway, so that is our little, my little song for Swear to Tell the Truth. Gentlemen, do you guys have any songs that you would like to share for Swear to Tell the Truth?
Yeah, I got one. I'll do Nas One Mic. I know I picked a few Nas songs on here for this series, but it always leads back. So for
we get a Nas counter? Maybe perhaps do we need a Nas counter? I mean, y'all niggas want to say every time I mention a Southern rapper from Memphis, maybe perhaps we need a Nas counter.
Might have to.
That Marcus won't even say her name now.
Might have to.
Just to keep him on his toes. He's Glorilla.
So I picked Nas One Mic because this was just one of those songs growing up that just resonated. Oh wow. Okay. Maybe. We'll have to go back. We're gonna have to go back.
We will, because we've shown Nas a lot of love on this show.
Yeah.
But anyway, Eric, go ahead.
All right. So I picked One Mic because for me this was just probably the song to really like put me onto Nas in a big way, and then also just like one of those songs that I heard just as a young man coming up and not really understanding why certain things would happen the way that they would happen. this song would basically give me a lot of motivation to just kind of have the mentality of you just need to push through that shit no matter what it is. Because that's basically the entirety of what the song is pushing through and getting to that next point and getting to that next bar and like making it over that next hurdle. That's what the entire song is about. And he brings it to you in this way where he takes you back to his early days and just brings up different scenarios of things that could happen. Like some of my favorite bars was when he was talking about being at the bus stop and then the fiend dropping the Heineken and the bullets flying like just all throughout that verse and just him painting that whole picture all the way to getting up into the third verse where he's basically like you can tell like he's like yelling the third verse at this part. So he is like yelling the part all I need is one life, one try, one breath, I'm one man, what I stand for speaks for itself. They don't understand, don't want to see me on top, too egotistical, talking all that same slick shit the same way these bitches do. Wonder what my secrets is, niggas will move on you only if they know your weakness is, but I have none. Too late, I grab guns. I'm blasting because I'm a cool nigga. Like, and then obviously, like, he just can keep going on that shit. But I just like how he, like, gives you his energy on Front Street. Like, it starts off kind of quiet and he's, like, giving you the storytelling, but then by the end, it's almost like he's, like, emotional. Like, he's, like I said, like, he's, like, yelling in the booth, but you can, like, feel every single word that he's saying. So for me, One Mic by Nas, that was just something that really stuck to me. And then the video that came out with it too. That was back when music videos really painted a really good picture along with the song that came out. And this came out back in like 02, 03 or something like that. So like for them to put together a video to like really paint the picture of what Nas was talking about the whole time just spoke volumes to me, man. I will always love this song. Like it's
It's like
probably my favorite Nas song ever.
I feel like we was on the same brain because that's where I was going to go. This was the first visual. This was the first artistically visual video that I remember. That I'm like, back when because clearly Hype Williams was directing videos, and you go behind the videos, and they was like, the vision for this is what we want, and I thought he was actually biting LL Cool J because it had the same type of microphone hanging from the ceiling. So I was
Right.
like, is this like a diss? You never knew back then and was like, what's going on? And it wasn't. But this was the first visually and the song went with the like he was literally a folding chair and then him and a microphone. And it was just one mic. And it was I think the video was better than the song because watching the video, you get more out of listening to it on the radio.
Really?
Yes.
You guys make me want to go back and like watch the video, honestly.
Yeah, go play because if you play it and then if you watch the video is going to hit so much harder than what you just heard.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
I will say I do feel like nowadays people are more worried about just getting the content out rather than creating something and like really curating it and making it like something super memorable. You know what I mean? So like I feel like we probably won't get a ton of videos like this that are so memorable to people and who can be like, no, this is one of those things that like stuck with me and probably wasn't even all that complicated to do. Let me
Well, the
see.
good videos that come out nowadays with the really good songs are, first of all, extremely high budget. So
Yeah,
the artist that's putting that out is top tier.
true.
So the fact that the top tier artists don't get this vulnerable that much anymore, where it's kind of few and far between on when we would get something like this.
Yeah.
Like I would expect somebody like maybe like Frank Ocean or somebody to put out something like that, but he never drops. So where else do you
Okay.
go from there? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But I would think of somebody in that lane though. Like I know we're talking
you're
about
right.
rap, but I'm just thinking just in general of artists and like Maybe like Kendrick gives us really good visuals still. J. Cole gives us really good
Yes.
visuals still. Drake, when he wants to, gives us good visuals. When
Yeah.
he wants to.
Yeah.
But still, again,
You're
it's few and
right.
far between with a lot of people.
And visuals now aren't, you used to have it used to have to do good in radio to become a visual. You
True.
know, the artist who blew that out the water, of course, is Beyonce. She started dropping albums and video on everything on one day. So
Yeah.
now you, if you don't have a visual when you come out, or don't have a visual soon, you don't have you have to you kind of lost out on a lot of traction on your visual. So, but it's a lot of visuals that miss too, because sometimes the wrong edit is like, what are they doing? Like, what is this? This
Yeah.
is so stupid.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's so cool because people forget that you can do things that are simple, but if they're shot correctly, you can have somebody who's actually a pretty decent editor and it come out amazing. Like I've been seeing people online, especially like more of like the newer artists nowadays where
Mm-hmm.
they don't have a big budget and so they have to get a little bit more creative. I love seeing that kind of stuff because you're like whoever you hired as your editor is amazing because somehow they just spliced this and put you here and then this transition was amazing. So I love seeing that, but again, like we were saying, like it also takes a lot to have a story behind it too, and I think like that's what also makes his impactful is that there's still a story that he's going through while he's doing this whole video or rapping this entire song. So I think yeah, I think that this is definitely a good song. This was definitely one that makes you want to go back and revisit a catalog like Nas's and just get nostalgic and realize that yeah, like he's definitely one of those rappers that it makes sense why he's had such a long career. He has so much thought behind it. So very good pick, Eric.
You just said
Absolutely.
something too. Uh, every time when you speak, we're gonna keep this too. You just
Hmm.
gave another show idea. Whose catalog needs revisiting?
Mm.
Mm.
You message. You just came out with one. Whose catalog needs revisiting?
That is a good one. We're definitely gonna have to check that one out. I don't know when, but that's definitely a good one. So we're gonna have to write that down for later, and hopefully, maybe even some of our fans can give us some suggestions and give us some of their favorite picks and not just ours. So that'll be interesting to do. But switching gears just a little bit, we wanted to play Finish That Rhyme. So we love playing this game because basically it tests me and Marcus's knowledge. We team up together and we go against Mr. Eric G, where he spits some bars for us, and we have to finish that rhyme. So hopefully Eric is going to go easy on us this week. And he's picked something classic and something that we can do. So Eric, how about you do the honors for us?
All right. Let's go. Let's take them back.
All right.
Coming up, I was confused. My mama kissing the girl. Confusion, the curse coming up in this cold world. Daddy ain't around, probably out committing felonies. My favorite rapper used to sing, check out my melody. I want to live good, so shit, I sell dope for a full finger ring. One of them gold ropes.
I think I know who it
I
is,
know who. I know exactly who it is.
but I
Say
don't
it.
remember the lyrics. But is this the game, Marcus? Is that who you
No,
think it is?
no, it's 50 Cent.
Is it?
Yes,
It's a
I
game
thought it
song.
was.
it's a
Huh?
game. It's hate. I want to say it's Hate It or Love It.
Ding, ding, ding. You are correct, sir.
Yeah,
Damn.
yeah, oh,
Yeah.
You got it.
yeah,
Good job,
yeah.
Marcus.
Hate It or Love It. And the
Yep.
only reason I remember this is because 50 was talking about it. He wrote it and gave it to the game.
No
Yep.
way. Oh, okay, okay. So that's what I was like, wait, aren't they both
Yeah,
on this song? Got you.
They are.
Okay, okay. So it was the game song, but you're saying like that is
yeah.
a verse
They was
from 50.
they were talking to 50 on like one of them interviews, and he was like, songs that I wrote, and I wrote Games Hated or Love It, and then I wrote this, and then I wrote that, and
No way.
yeah, I didn't,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't know 50 Pen Game.
was
is
crazy back
is
then.
really
Did not realize.
like
It's
not
very underrated.
underrated as hell. Because people think he's trolling, and he
Right.
is not. I really believe 50 knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, and behind the scenes, 50 is definitely one of the greatest rap writers. Like, because Snoop just got into the songwriting Hall of Fame. I think 50 Cent is maybe, let's see, Snoop was probably two rounds later. You'll see 50 in there.
Now that I think about it, when I think about the song on the same album on documentary, when I think about West Side Story featuring 50, when you really sit and think about it, it sounds like a 50 Cent song.
Mm.
Like if you take away Game out of it and replace it with 50's voice, I could see it. I could easily see 50 writing that and that being a 50 song. And then
I don't
Game music
know.
and then
I
Game using
wonder.
it later.
Yeah, I mean, they were definitely close, at a point in both of their careers. So I don't doubt it, especially like you said, it was on the same project. So it's possible. Who knows,
Yeah.
though?
And Game hasn't had hits since.
And that's the thing I think
He's had
is
a few.
really
He's had a
weird.
few.
He's had, yeah, like he's
He's
had
had a
some
few.
good songs, he had some hits, but
He's
I
had
just
some
don't feel
really
like
good albums
it's,
too.
No,
yeah,
no, he's
that's the
had great
thing.
bodies of work. No, I'm talking about, but just like,
His bodies of work are great, but I am surprised. I will say, like Marcus, like you said, he hasn't had one of those like runaway hits. Like "Hate It
yeah,
or Love It" was like a runaway hit. I feel like, whereas like it is kind of that weird curse where it's like you kind of love. I like the beef secretly. I kind of like the beef between him and 50, but at the same time, I kind of like think sometimes like it would be kind of dope if you guys got back in the booth. Excuse me, if they got back in the booth and they decided to do another collab and actually make another hit and like show motherfuckers what it's about. Because I think the both of them still have like they still have at least like one more song in them. So,
I don't
but
think they could,
I'm not gonna hold my breath on it.
I don't think they could do it because of the Eminem factor.
What do you mean?
Like Game went at Eminem like really hard. M just said, "Fuck it, I'm not gonna respond." But 50 and Eminem are literally still as close as they
Yeah.
were then. So no, he
Oh,
wouldn't. They would
And
not.
that happened recently too.
Yeah, I
Like
wouldn't.
within
did
the
it
past couple of
really?
years. Yeah, so that's it's kind of over with for that. I
Yeah,
think
That
I think
sucks.
Game and 50, they don't have any issues with each other, but I don't think we'll ever hear them record together ever again.
yeah.
Damn. That sucks because I love those kind of like where it's real beef, it kind of falls into rap. Like I love that whole Meek Mill and Drake shit. That shit was fire. So I kind of like that this is two old school rappers, Game and 50, that are still kind of a bit relevant. They still pop up like on our blogs, on our social medias, 50 on our TV. So, that's why I kind of have hope that one day maybe they can collab again. But you guys are probably right. You guys know more about
The
the beef
best
than I
hope
do.
you can have is that they will both be on the same project, and that project is only Dre. But them
Yeah.
being on the same
Yeah.
song, I
Okay.
I can't even see Dre doing that. But I could see them being on the same project. Like I could see Dre having a Game song, and then of course having a 50 song. But I
Yeah.
cannot see them all being together.
Yeah.
I I mean, it could happen, but I doubt it.
Right. I like that the way that you're thinking though, because I didn't even think about a Dre album, and that'd be lit. And every once in a while, Dre decides to bless us with his presence. So who knows? Maybe it would definitely be another one of those coming of ages. It would definitely be a very big, major moment for hip hop history. So we'll see. Who knows? But anyway, I hope that you guys really like this episode. Today, we decided to go into our throwback bag and we decided to check out some songs that had a lot of, like, a lot of emotional ties to them for us, or even had some nostalgia for us, or just coming of age hits. So I hope that you guys really, really like this one. Be sure to watch a new episode of The Bar Exam every Monday. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you guys on the next episode. See you later. Bye, guys.
What up, though, y'all? Appreciate y'all support. Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. We just passed 400 subscribers. Help get us to 500. You feel me? Like, share, subscribe. Ethos Media Network.